Hello. I wanted to go over the differences between the sureshot armament mk3 AK chassis and the Texas Weapon Systems AK front handguard and top rail for the covered top rail. So main biggest difference that I really would like to discuss is the lockup of the unit onto the AK. So I think I prefer the Texas Weapon Systems, and I will show you why. So in the back, you have this wedge lock system, right? Wedge lock system that once you insert it into your receiver, you tighten it and it actually will hold tension back here, evenly distributed, I guess. And then you also have this barrel clamp that goes just over here. Now, with the sureshot armament one, you have a machined boss that goes into your receiver, and it's a solid boss, nothing really actively holding it in there. Depending on the model, I guess, of AK, it will be a friction fit. And then when you rotate this up, the screw here will actually be pressing. Once you start screwing in here, it's a cone tip sharp set screw that when you start to screw it in, it will press up against this, keeping these from falling back down or out. So I thought that was a little bit strange, so it'll push it in this direction, back and up a little bit. There's also a set screw just in here that'll keep it, keep tension also up against the barrel to align the cant of this, and then eventually this whole top rail. So apparently it's working well, because there are a lot of testimony videos out there saying that it is holding zero, that it is not falling off. Also in those videos that they do come loose. So I think that this is more robust overall, this clamping system. Basically the foundation of the chassis, right? Now, another thing that I can say about this that I like more about the Texas Weapon Systems over the sureshot is that they have helicoil inserts for the threads. Now, one of the bigger complaints that I've noticed people saying is that the threading here will strip out. So the torque is 20 inch-pounds, 10, 20, 15 inch-pounds to hold this all together, and there are 6 of them. Over here, with the threaded inserts, it's not direct to aluminum, screw to aluminum. So this is screw to aluminum, and this is screw to stainless threads to aluminum threads. So I like threaded inserts. I like them a lot. Aimpoint uses them, and you know, if you know what they are, you know why. So attention to detail, I like that more. I would, especially for the prices that we're paying for these things, I like to see details like that. Threaded inserts. A little bit more time, but the customer will appreciate it. Okay. Now, after that, as far as the handguards go, what I do like about the same on both of them, but I do like the Texas Weapon Systems one more. And I know it sounds like I'm just giving a bunch of these points to Texas Weapon Systems, but hear me out. So this is an extruded machined top rail, right? And it has another machined in here part that will hold the gas tube or piston guide in place. Okay. Now the sureshot armament one is held in position with 2 screws on either side. Now, there was quite a gap between the machine top rail and the welded bracket onto the gas tube. And I didn't really feel comfortable leaving it just wiggling around. So I put these washers in there, and they were just about the right size. And there is some clamping force pulling this together just a little bit. But I thought that was interesting, the way that they went about doing this. So both of them will transfer heat to the top rail. Both of them are not not touching where you're going to be putting your hands. So I guess the transfer of heat might be less with this one, the sureshot armament, versus this Texas weapon system. But what I like about it is that the alignment of the upper, right, the upper handguard or the upper rail is not really taken in. I'm trying to think of a way to say this, but I think this is a better way of doing it, because this is kind of free floating, but it is still in position, versus this one, it's basically just relying on the screws to hold it in there laterally, right? And over time, we know AKs, they really chew stuff apart like that that's loose. So I mean, I just torqued this down to 20 inch-pounds with my, shims or washers, and it's no issues, but I just thought it was interesting. Maybe there's a reason, but I can't find any reasons. That's another thing that I'll talk about in a minute. But so we got the thread inserts, and then as we are still talking about the upper parts of the handguard rails, what I liked about the Texas weapon system one more is that it's actually longer on the top rail. So if we position this more or less where it's going to be sitting, right, which would be here, so it would be chilling here. It's actually a little bit longer by like a ½ inch. Now, what I did with this one, and I don't like this about that I had to file this extra position out here to get my some of my stuff a little bit further, one more notch. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it's 2 notches longer on the top than the sureshot armament one. I like to put a bunch of stuff on my guns. I run a lot of night vision, and slots. We use our slots. So biggest things about the handguards that I like about this one is the sureshot armament is that it looks a lot cooler. The sureshot armament one does look a lot cooler. It feels solid. I guess it's less on the barrel, right? And that's really it. I do like, I guess, the details more on the Texas weapon systems one. Now, both of them are very well machined. They're both beautiful. But then there's the finish. This is a Cerakote, and this is anodized. I will rather have anodized over Cerakote, or anodized with Cerakote. I mean, again, for the price points, I'd rather see anodized than Cerakote, truth be told. As far as build quality, for the price here, you have 3 billet components, and machine tube and a machine bracket welded onto that tube. On these guys, we have machined, extrusion, riveted. The clamps are machined. These barrel spacers are machined. This is extruded and machined with the riveted machined part in there for that. The helicoil inserts, machined. So this has more machined parts, and it is anodized. This is less machined parts, or they're both equally machined. This has less parts, so less parts is better, but depends on what you're trying to do, right? So But machining overall is pretty good, honestly. For what they're doing, it's very good. The only other people that I can think of that machine better than these guys is Templar Precision and RPM out of Canada. They make ACR handguards out of billet, and they're just crazy machinists. I love those guys. So moving on to the back rail, the top cover rail, this is dependent. This whole top rail is dependent on how this is linked up to your receiver, and this is not. This is independent on itself, and this is also independently dependent on itself. So what you see here, and which I think people care a little bit too much about, is that the rear sight leaf can be left here. Now, when you start adding a bunch of stuff on here, I think that's like less of an important point. As far as lockup goes, though, this one definitely has a more strong, rigid locking point, right? So they machined this nut that you replace the front leaf sight with, and then this aluminum part will clamp onto there, and you put this pin through this hole and the C-clip. Sounds like a lot, but you actually have adjustability here, back and forth, once you adjust that, and you can open it kind of like the hood of a car. Another thing is that they have to send you their spring guide rod. You can use your OEM one on the sureshot armament, and it's pretty snug, but it's always, I've seen people always complaining, or some people complaining, that this is kind of there. You can put a magnifier on it, but nothing really else. But all of the media that sureshot armament put out has LVPOs and stuff, so it's good enough for that, I guess. But this is one solid continuous top rail, right? Also, this contributes, the guide spring rod thing contributes to holding it in by wedging it in there with the spring tension that is already being used by the system. And if you need more tension, you just do that. But I mean, I guess this has more grabbing onto than this, because again, this is the sureshot is totally dependent on how you mount it onto the front of your firearm, versus these two can be independent. And if you have a problem with one, it's not a whole problem with the whole system. Again, I think they're both good. People love this a lot, and I think it looks really cool. But again, just looking from a design standpoint, I think this makes me feel more comfortable, the Texas weapon system. And I've seen the videos from the Russians to the mostly the Russian guy, going over his design, and I would really like to see the American sureshot armament come up with an installation video. The differences between the A and the B. I saw you can get an A and B replacement for this, or differences in how it locks up to different AKs. You know, I would really like to see them go more for that information. I really like to take information and study the way that things are, you know, which is the reason I wanted to make this video. And I love both of these companies. I'm going to buy another AK so I can put this on, and I can have both systems in use, so we can see more long-term how they react when you put them against each other. Also, I have this from sureshot armament, the AR stock adapter. It's working very well. So I think that's going over everything that, you know, I like and dislike about both systems. I think it would be really awesome if there was a hybrid system of both of these, where I would have the comfort that I have with this one being locked onto the firearm without, you know, tensioning and untensioning stuff for alignment. More hard installation. and then also have the design and the aesthetic of this, you know. I think that would be really cool. I do like that these guys offer different lengths of handguards, and I don't think they do from what I understand, from what the last I checked. Okay, I think that's it. Really, they're both good products. They both are very well spoken about, but it's always the details, I think, that make or break customers for the value. I think I was telling somebody it's not good enough anymore to have a good product. You have to have a good product with creature comforts, right? With you have to make them feel like they're getting more than what they spend. And for the difference in prices here with both of them, I think threaded inserts would be very nice, and anodizing on this. That would help me get over a little bit on the way that this mounts. Because again, people are reporting that this is an okay way to mount. Or have both the threaded insert plate, you know, just, I want to know more, I guess, right? So thank you so much, and I'll see you guys around. Bye.